Look up on the right evening, and you will see it. The brightest thing in the sky after the moon. A calm, silver point of light, steady and warm, so lovely that we named it after the goddess of love. Venus, the morning star, the evening star, Earth's twin. It is almost exactly our size, made of the same rock, born beside us from the same cloud of dust 4.5 billion years ago. That is where the comfort ends. Because underneath that soft silver light is the most hostile place we have ever found. A furnace hot enough to melt metal, an air so heavy it would crush a submarine, clouds made of acid, and a sky that spins backwards. Venus is not Earth's gentle sister. It is what happens to a world like ours when everything goes wrong. If you want to keep looking into the dark between the stars, subscribe. What comes next only gets worse. Start with the heat. The surface of Venus sits at around 465 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, hot enough to bake the rock itself, day and night, without end. It is the hottest planet in the solar system. And here is the first detail that should not make sense. Venus is not the closest planet to the Sun. Mercury is. Mercury sits tens of millions of kilometers nearer to the fire, and Venus is still hotter. Far hotter, every part of it, day and night, pole to equator, roasting at the same lethal temperature without relief. Because Venus does not just receive heat, it traps it. Then there is the weight of the air. The atmosphere on Venus presses down with more than 90 times the pressure at Earth's surface. To feel that on our own planet, you would have to sink nearly a kilometer beneath the ocean, down into the black where the water alone would flatten most machines. That is the pressure at the surface of Venus, not in some deep trench, on the open ground, everywhere. The first spacecraft to reach that ground did not slowly fail. They were crushed, squeezed and cooked in the time it takes to boil an egg. And the air itself is poison. Venus is wrapped in carbon dioxide, a suffocating blanket, more than 96% of the atmosphere, thick and hot and endless. So this is the surface of Earth's twin. No water, no shade, no cool of night. Just a still, red-lit oven under an ocean of crushing air that has been burning without pause for longer than life has existed on Earth. From a distance, Venus is serene, a smooth, cream-colored ball wrapped in soft, featureless cloud. No storms visible to the eye, no scars, just a calm, glowing pearl, the prettiest planet in the sky. Those clouds are the disguise. They are not made of water. They are made of sulfuric acid, droplets of it kilometers thick, wrapped around the entire planet in a permanent, unbroken shell. For most of history, that shell kept Venus a secret. We could not see the surface at all, not with any telescope. The clouds hide everything beneath them, sealing the world in a bright, poisonous fog. We only learned what was down there by firing radar through the veil, mapping the ground the way a bat sees in the dark. Only then did the true face of Venus appear. Vast volcanic plains, mountains, and the frozen record of eruptions on a scale Earth has never known. And the clouds do more than hide. High in that acid haze, the winds scream around the planet at hundreds of kilometers per hour, circling the entire world in just 4 days, far faster than Venus itself turns. The whole atmosphere is racing, a hurricane the size of a planet that never lands and never stops. It rains up there too. Sulfuric acid falls from the clouds, but it never reaches the ground. The heat below is so extreme that the acid rain boils away in midair long before it can land and rises again to fall once more. A sky that rains poison onto nothing. From far away, it looks like a pearl. Up close, it is a lid, sealed over a furnace, hiding what the furnace has done. The heat on Venus is not the crime. It is the evidence. Something turned this world into a furnace, and the weapon was the air itself. Scientists believe Venus fell into what is called a runaway greenhouse. Carbon dioxide traps heat. More heat releases more gas. More gas traps more heat. Once that cycle begins and cannot stop, it does not settle into a warm, comfortable world. It runs until the oceans are gone and the rock itself begins to bake. That is the quiet horror of Venus. The temperature is not the disaster. It is the aftermath of one. A planet that cooked itself and then kept the receipt in its sky. And Venus is undefended. Earth has an invisible shield, a global magnetic field generated deep in its churning core that turns aside the constant stream of particles pouring off the sun. It is one of the reasons our air and our water are still here. Venus has almost none of that. No strong magnetic field to protect it. For billions of years, the solar wind has swept across it, stripping the lighter gases away and leaving behind the heavy, choking carbon dioxide that smothers it today. Then there is the spin. Venus turns so slowly that a single day on Venus lasts longer than its entire year. It rotates once in about 243 Earth days, against 225 for one orbit around the sun. And it turns the wrong way. Almost every planet in the solar system spins in the same direction. Venus spins backwards. On its surface, if the sun could be seen through the clouds at all, it would rise in the west and set in the east, creeping across the sky over the course of months. A world where the day is longer than the year and the sun moves the wrong way. Nothing about Venus was left the way a world like Earth is supposed to be. We did not leave Venus alone. For decades, one country was obsessed with it. The Soviet Union sent probe after probe after probe, more spacecraft to Venus than anyone has sent to any other planet. A campaign of machines curled one by one at a world that destroyed almost every single one of them. The early ones simply went silent. Some were crushed by the pressure before they ever reached the ground. Some melted. Some were flattened on the way down, their signals cutting out as the atmosphere closed around them. Then, in 1970, one survived the fall long enough to speak. A probe called Venera 7 struck the surface and sent back a faint, broken signal. The first message ever transmitted from the surface of another planet. It lasted about 23 minutes before Venus silenced it. The engineers kept coming. They built the next probes like deep-sea armor, wrapped to hold off the crushing air for as long as possible. And in the early 1980s, one of them did something extraordinary. Venera 13 landed, and it held on for just over 2 hours before the heat and pressure destroyed it. 2 hours, a record that still stands. And in that time, it did the impossible. It took photographs. For the first time, humanity saw the ground of Venus in color. A bleak, orange-lit plain of flat, broken rock, stretching to a close horizon under a heavy sky. No water, no life, just stone, and the shadow of a dying machine that had minutes left to live. Those images cost enormous effort, and every craft that took them died where it stood. Venus does not keep visitors, it keeps wreckage. Somewhere down there right now, scattered across those burning plains, sit the crushed and melted remains of the machines we sent. A small graveyard of human curiosity, slowly corroding in the acid air on the surface of the planet that killed them all. Now the real horror, not what Venus is, what Venus was. Venus is Earth's twin in the most literal way. Nearly the same size, nearly the same mass, made of the same rock, born in the same place, at the same time, from the same cloud. If you built two planets to be sisters, you would build Venus and Earth. And there is growing evidence that long ago, Venus may have been the gentler of the two. Some scientists believe that for perhaps billions of years, Venus was not a furnace at all, that it was cooler, calmer, that it may even have held liquid water, shallow seas, a sky you could have stood beneath, a second blue world right next door. If that is true, then Venus is not just a hostile planet, it is a corpse. the body of a world that may once have been almost like ours, and then died. Something tipped it over the edge. The sun grew slowly brighter. The greenhouse ran away. The oceans, if they ever existed, boiled into the sky and were stripped away into space, leaving only the crushing, cooking air that remains. A living world, if it ever lived, turned into the hottest hell in the solar system. And it happened to the planet most like our own. There are even those who wonder whether something might still cling to life in the one place on Venus that is not lethal, high in the clouds, where the temperature and pressure ease towards something Earth-like. A few years ago, scientists reported a gas there that, on Earth, is linked to life. The claim is fiercely debated and may yet prove to be nothing at all. But the question alone is haunting, whether anything is left drifting in the poison sky of a dead twin. Because this is the part that should not let go of you. Venus is not a warning about some alien, faraway place. It is a warning written on the face of the planet nearest to us in size, in material, in birth. A reminder that a world can be born calm, in blue, and full of promise, and still end as a silent, glowing furnace. We look at Venus and see the most beautiful light in the sky. We may be looking at a preview. On the right morning, before the sun, Venus rises alone. A single bright, patient light in the blue, calm and steady and beautiful. For thousands of years, we have looked at that light and seen love, and gods, and peace. It was never any of those things. A furnace hot enough to melt lead, air heavy enough to crush a submarine, a shell of acid clouds sealed over volcanic plains, a day longer than a year, a sun that moves the wrong way, and a scatter of dead machines on the ground that prove how completely it kills. And underneath all of it, the ghost of a world that may once have been almost like ours. We call it the morning star. It is not a promise of the day. It is an epitaph for a twin, the most beautiful warning in the sky. And every clear morning, it is still there, still shining, still waiting for us to understand what it is.